All right, cool. So this podcast is with Brock Bush. Brock is one of my best friends. We met in college. We went to Chico State University together. That's people who don't know that school is the Harvard of the West, is what it's called, or known for, rather.
Is it really?
Absolutely not.
The opposite.
Brock and I have been friends for, 15 years or so. Lived in San Diego together and have been on a lot of adventures together around the world. So thanks for being here and thanks for being on the podcast. Brock Bush, everybody.
Thanks, Brock.
Hi, listener.
Listener. That's fucking awesome. Now you guys know why I like Brock a lot.
Brock, where are you from?
I'm from San Diego, California.
So you guys,
619.
yeah. So you guys essentially grew up in the same area, but you didn't know each other till.
Not really. I mean, he's from LA and San Diego, so
Yeah. We're 180 miles apart. Is where we grew up. Yeah. So, I mean, there are a lot of similarities to the San Diego area and the Los Angeles area. There are also some key distinctions.
I've heard San Diego's a lot nicer.
that's correct. Yes.
I would agree with that as well.
Yeah, we were LA and San Diego are two. It's not like we have like the same bond as we're both from Western Montana. Like, no, it's completely.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's it like there? What was it like growing up there?
I mean, San Diego's great. I mean, great weather year round. You go to the beach, you go to the mountains, you go to Mexico. Great Mexican food. I think it's one of the best cities, big cities in the U.S. I mean, I can't think of one that would be better. It's a big city, but it doesn't feel like L.A. or New York, you know.
And it's pretty much right on the coast.
Yeah, it's on the coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the population there?
I guess the city now is probably like 2 million.
No
A little over 2 million in the city. I think that, man, this is the problem with podcasting. Well, I'm going to guess on the county population. I think it's like 8 million in the county.
Okay.
This is where a young Jamie could come in.
Yeah. So we don't have a young Jamie. So we're just going to take a guess and we're going to say 2 million in the city and about 8 million in the county.
The county is actually pretty big.
Yeah. The county is big. Is that yours?
No, it's not me. Must be you.
Someone's alarm.
Do you know, is Austin 1 million or 2?
I think Austin's big.
I can't speak to
Yeah.
Austin.
For some reason, I thought San Diego was a lot
but
bigger.
I wouldn't compare San Diego to Austin, bro. Just don't do that.
Just to get an idea, like city size.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego it's a really cool city. I mean, you have the beach, you have a city. It's not a big city. You know, it's not like Los Angeles or something like that, or Chicago or New York. And so it has a different feel to it.
You can be in Mexico in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So what's some of your earliest memories there? What was it like being a kid?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, kid, you're just outside all day. You know, it's you get home from school and you just hang out with your neighborhood friends. I grew up like catching rattlesnakes, just roaming like a feral child. And then, come home by dinner and then, yeah.
So this is like
you always grew up in Hamul, right?
Yeah, 90s, early 90s.
Yeah.
Like you always grew up like you were always in Hamul.
Yeah, I grew up in like the outskirts of San Diego, so a little bit more country. But yeah, ride bike, skateboard.
Do you have siblings?
I have an older sister. Yeah.
Right on. Where's she at these days?
She lives in London.
Oh, okay. And where do you live these days?
I live in Panama.
Nice.
So yeah, my parents are kind of like, what the fuck did we do wrong? We have one kid that lives in London, another kid that lives in Panama, just trying to get as far away.
Are they still in San Diego?
They're still in San Diego.
Right on. Do you get back there quite a bit soon?
Not really. Once or twice a year.
Yeah.
How much older is your sister?
It's like 2 years.
Okay.
Not that much.
Were you guys close growing up?
Not like super close. We're pretty different in what we like to do. She's more kind of a sit by her fire and read, and I'm more of a whatever. Let's go down to Mexico and get drunk and eat tacos.
Yeah.
Did you surf a lot growing up?
No, not really.
I just stereotype everyone from the West Coast.
Sure.
Assume you
Yeah.
just
Of course.
surf
It's
and
San
hang out
Diego,
on
bro.
the
Sir.
beach.
I mean, if I were talking to a pretty girl at a bar, then maybe that's, oh yeah, surf every single day. And got to play to the stereotype. But no, I was not a good surfer.
What did what was it like growing up? Like maybe just starting like chunks. Like you're from like 3 to 6 years old. Like what do you remember? What did you do? What kind of a kid were you?
I have no idea.
All right, you don't
Do you remember 3 to 6?
Yeah, dude. I did all.
Are you even in a grade in 3 and 6? Is that kindergarten?
Kindergarten, yeah. First grade, yeah.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah, first grade's like 4 or 5. Yeah, I barely remember any of that. Mostly a blur.
All right, let's go 8 to 10.
I remember liking Ninja Turtles, liking Scooby Doo.
All right.
That's about it.
Fucking typical ass kid, dude.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
What about sports? You playing sports?
I grew up kickboxing.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I guess I started kickboxing, I think, in kindergarten or first grade.
Yeah.
Pretty young.
And you did that like all the way through high school.
Yeah.
Did you have any amateur fights?
No. I would practice like 3 or 5 times a week, and then I got into teaching. But I never had any amateur fights. It was a little too much pressure, you know? It's not like soccer where there's like another 10 guys out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like with something like kickboxing, it's like
it's all on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just didn't want that pressure, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There's some pretty grim consequences too.
Yeah, I mean, I think at that age, it's kind of hard to get super fucked up. But I guess more like consequences of being embarrassed or something. You know, you have a bad fight and you're in front of a couple hundred people or whatever it is.
So did you do that all the way through high school?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know who Kevin Ross is?
No idea.
He's a very famous, like world famous kickboxer. Actually, trains and coaches at a gym here in town.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I couldn't tell you a lot about his accomplishments, but I know he's a world champion kickboxer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is Sugar Sean from Bozeman?
He's from Helena.
Helena.
Yeah.
I don't know who that is, dude.
UFC fighter. I think he trains out of Arizona or Utah or something. He doesn't even claim Montana as his homeland.
Got it.
Helena doesn't play UFC fights unless Sean O'Malley's fighting. There's one bar in town that will play them when he fights, and that's it. Other than that, they don't play him.
Okay. Were you a decent student?
I think I was a very good student. A's and B's.
Yeah. All the way through?
All the way through.
Okay.
The only class that I came close to failing ever was in my last semester at university, and it was a wine tasting class. And I took it because, this is going to be great. You just drink wine and have a good time. And it was super hard. And I came very close to failing. I think I came down to the last test, and I had to study my ass off just to get enough to pass the course. But yeah, good student up until wine tasting.
Yeah, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah, I mean, you think, oh no, this tastes like
you're like, I'm a good drinker.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But no, it's all about the acidity, the tannins, this and that.
Tim's brother is an interesting guy. His name is David. David is like one of the youngest sommeliers in the world.
He's like level 2. I know that.
Yeah,
and it's for how old he is. I think it's
so he became a sommelier at 24.
Okay.
Yeah,
and he could pick up a glass of wine, and I don't know. I think everything that comes out, he's just lying as soon as he starts talking. But he's like, "This is from Germany. This has got this." I'm like, "What the fuck?" He's like, "This is the whole industry."
I think
sound confident.
I think the most amazing thing is that you guys grew up in the same place and you couldn't be more different.
Yeah, I mean, and we also grew up 5 minutes from a winery, and he worked at that winery in high school. And
yeah. So you were a good student. it's my understanding that, you know, in your high school years, you got into some trouble. You want to tell us a little bit about
I was
that?
an angel.
What was going on in high school?
Oh, just typical high school stuff, just having some social activities outside of school, and
Yeah.
um, but nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
Nothing that illegal.
Sorry. Figured I'd
Figured it
reposition myself.
But no, Chico State was a good choice.
Yeah.
So you guys were roommates.
Yeah, we lived together for like
I guess the last year I think we lived together.
Yeah.
How'd you guys meet on campus? Were you guys roommates when you started, or you?
No, we met actually through a couple of our buddies. Shout out to Frank and Spencer. I became good friends with Frank and Spencer, and then Brock was in Spain when I met those guys. He was studying abroad for a year. Met him in San Diego, 4th of July weekend.
Oh, right on.
They were like, dude, this Brock, dude, fucking
Did I meet Frank? Or
lives in San Diego. Yeah, you met Frank.
He went snowmobiling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those guys.
The Italian guy.
Mhm.
Yeah. And who's the other guy?
Spencer.
He was there too.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those guys introduced me to Brock, and
Right
then he came back to school, right? Like back to university from Spain, and that's how we met.
Why'd you have the desire to go to Spain or leave the U.S.?
I don't know. I'd always liked to travel, and then I think at somewhere on campus I'd heard that you can study abroad, and I was like, oh, let me check that out. And then I figured, all right, well, I want to learn Spanish and I want to go to Europe, so that kind of narrows it down pretty quick to Spain. So spent a year in Spain, picked up Spanish, and
How's Spain? I mean, it's hard to compare since I don't even know much about San Diego. But how does Spain compare to the U.S.?
I think it's like the typical thing they say in the U.S. You live to work, and in Europe, especially in Spain, you work to live. No, or the opposite.
Mhm.
Like in Spain, they just do enough to be able to go and have some wine at the end of the day, eat some good food.
Mhm.
They just work is just enough to kind of pay the bills.
Yeah.
But it's not their life. They have a much better work-life balance.
I think Kyle might agree with this. I think people in Montana probably have a much better work-life balance than a lot of people in the U.S.
That's what I was telling him yesterday when we were at that lake. I mean, it was like noon on a Friday, and there's a ton of people. I was like, shouldn't they be at fucking work?
And then you drive up to.
I think he mentioned it like 3 times on the drive too. He's like, what aren't these people supposed to be working? And I was like, I guess.
And then you drive to Big Sky and everyone's along the river and everyone's fishing on the
Really?
side of the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people do that.
And granted, like half those people are tourists, but the other half aren't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying half, whether that's an actual good ratio or not, I don't know, but probably close.
And so, I mean, some people out here they'll work a lot in the summer and then they'll just ski every day from December through April. Or vice versa. They'll just work all winter and then they'll just hike and mountain bike, camp all summer.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. I know a lot of people that they work Monday to Friday and they're gone. Like Friday afternoon, they're gone. They're going camping somewhere and they're back Sunday night and they're planning the next weekend all week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's cool because you could get to some cool camping spots super quick from here, no?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Your parents like took you guys a lot of places when growing up, though.
Yeah, so my mom worked at a high school, so she had summers off, and my dad had his own business, so he kind of was able to fit in some vacation. So yeah, every summer for a couple weeks we would do some massive road trip, or go to Europe or something like that.
Yeah. So you think your parents like introduced you to like traveling, and they kind of got that itch going?
Yeah, my mom says so. Growing up, we had placemats, and my placemat was a map of the world. So she thinks that's where it started. Every day, looking at a different country in a different part of the world.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's funny. We had some of those in my house. We grew up there. Like they were literally just a laminated
map,
exactly. Essentially.
Yeah.
I remember like when we first met. I remember something that I was like impressed with about you was you had been to so many states. And like we're like 19, 20 years old, and I'm like, dude, this guy's been everywhere. How the hell? I'd only been to like a few states at that point, like maybe 5 or something. I feel like you had been to like 30 something plus at that point, and I was like, dude, how's this guy been everywhere? And it's because you guys went on road trips and stuff.
We like drive to Florida, drive to Indiana, and then do like these massive loops. Drive to Washington, Canada, do these loops.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty quickly they start adding up.
Yeah.
I've met multiple people out here definitely in their at least 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s have never been on an airplane.
Seriously?
Yeah. It's common out here. It's common in a lot of small towns in America. You just don't have good exposure. So you kind of think your life just exists in your small town.
And you're pretty isolated here. Like to go somewhere, you kind of have to fly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just imagine if like you didn't live in one of the big cities in Montana.
Yeah.
Like, I think Bozeman's the 3rd largest city in Montana.
Yeah. But the busiest airport in the state. I mean, this has the most connecting flights.
But what I'm getting at is, let's just say you lived, I don't know, 3 hours from one of the large cities in Montana, right? Like, and you were a rancher.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first off, like your job doesn't really allow you to get on a plane very often because you're ranching all the time. So I don't know, you wouldn't need to, right? Like, so I could see the other side of like, you're like, yeah, you probably wouldn't go very, very many places.
I remember meeting people in Texas who had never been to the beach, which is like, there's beaches in Texas.
Yeah.
Texas is coastal.
Yeah.
But it's just so big, and yeah, it's kind of like that. Growing up in a small town, you just stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I've talked about it with you and your brother though. Los Angeles and San Diego and California just seems like it's like there's so much exposure to so many cultures and so much there that you're just exposed to so many more. Yeah, I mean, you can live in central Montana. It's like you and some other white people, and you think that's all that exists. Like, everyone's from Montana, and everyone has a ranch.
Yeah, I think going back to how kind of we started the conversation, but one of the coolest aspects that and unique aspects about San Diego is that it's I think of San Diego as kind of a blend of Mexico and the U.S. And it's really Tijuana and San Diego are really the same city. There just happens to be
a wall
and some gates. But 500,000 people every single day that live in Tijuana, they work in San Diego. And so there's a lot of people that live in TJ but have a job in the U.S. And so they cross the border twice a day, every day. It's just an super interesting city. They're really interconnected, and it's pretty special. So it's a cool spot. So yeah, you get like in San Diego, you get exposed to all that culture.
Brock, have you had any Mexican food here yet?
Well, we just had some breakfast burritos. I don't know if that's super.
They were pretty. Those were pretty Americanized.
Yeah, those are kind of bullshit.
Yeah, they weren't. They filled our stomach.
I'm curious if you have any, just what you think is. I mean, I'm assuming you know Mexican food pretty well if you're from San Diego. Kyle seems to think he's the expert, but I'd love to hear a second opinion.
Last night I had an elk burger.
Oh, nice.
I figured when in Rome, I'll wait to eat Mexican food when I'm a little closer to Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say you should take him to that place over there in the Cannery District.
Yeah, I mean that place is pretty good.
Yeah, I still haven't been. So
yeah, it's pretty good. It's not like nothing. It's nothing to write home about. It's pretty good though.
What's the best Mexican food place here since we're on
in Bozeman?
Yeah.
Actually, I wouldn't say in Bozeman. The best Mexican food that I've had is actually in Livingston.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a new restaurant out there. I say new, it's like newish, like in the last year and a half. Los Pinos. Yeah, I had really good Mexican food there.
Right on.
Yep.
Noted.
Yeah.
Brock, you said your father has his own business. What is that? Is it still active? Is he still running it?
It's still active. He's an attorney, so he had his own law firm.
Nice. What kind of law?
Personal injury.
Right on.
Ambulance chaser.
Sweet.
The ambulance chaser.
Cool. So that kind of like afforded you guys though to be able to like travel around in the summer, like you were saying, and that kind of stuff. Was he working a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now he's more or less retired. I mean, now you can just work whenever he wants to work and not work whenever he wants to work.
Yeah. That's Kyle's question. Like I'll meet lawyers all the time. He's always like, "You ask them what kind of law they're in." Now every lawyer I meet, that's what I ask them. Yeah, it's just
it's
interesting.
It is interesting because there's so much different law, right? If you think of anything, there's a lawyer for it, right? And then like they very well might focus on it. So it's always interesting to ask people what kind of law they practice.
I'm waiting for like I'm a divorce attorney. I'll be like, "You want to be on a podcast?"
Yeah, they probably have some stories.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of lawyers do.
Yeah. I bet. So after what'd you study at Chico State?
I studied marketing and Spanish. I got my major in marketing and a minor in Spanish.
And when you graduated, you moved to Dallas.
Moved to Texas, yeah.
You're in Dallas for like what, 9 months, 10 months?
9 months. It was pretty hard to move from Chico, which is the base of the Sierra Nevada. It's really beautiful outdoors, mountains, everything, rivers. And then what I didn't like about Dallas, which is why I only stayed there for a short bit, was, I mean, especially that part of Texas is just flat, just nothing. Not a mountain for hundreds of miles and no rivers, it's just very kind of ugly.
I feel the exact same way. I mean, being here, I've been to Austin briefly, but anytime I go there, I'm like, just flat and hot and boring. Like you get this, I don't know, maybe I take this landscape for granted, but I really appreciate the mountains and the landscape and the greenery. And yeah, Texas would be tough.
Yeah, and I think Dallas in whatever, 2011, 2010, whenever that was, I guess it would have been like, what, 2010? It's a different city now. I think Dallas is cooler, more fun to be around now than it was then.
I mean, there's a ton of nice restaurants and all that type of stuff. So there's plenty to do, but from an outdoors perspective, I mean, you're jogging on a sidewalk or riding a bike on a sidewalk or
or Texas in general is like all private land, so they don't really have like, I mean they do, but like not like we're used to out here or even in California. They don't have like the national forest, and so or BLM land, so they have very little of it, and so there's not a lot of access to recreation in and I'm stereotyping the entire state of Texas.
Well, I think Texas is 99% privately owned. Yeah. And Montana's 51% privately owned. So
that's why there's so many parks.
Yeah, there's just so much national forest land and state land that you essentially have access to. And a lot of them have, maintained trails and outhouses at the trails and everything you need, more or less.
Right.
And Texas has lakes, which are cool, but nothing to this. Not even close to anything like Montana or even Northern California.
Had you been to Bozeman before? Or was it the first time?
Second time.
Right on.
I came here during the height of COVID, like early 2020, when everything was still kind of going crazy.
That was a good time to be here.
I mean, so at that time I was living in San Diego, and so it was a little bit more open than San Diego. I remember going to a bar, but we couldn't sit at the bar, but we could stand at the bar.
Yeah,
that was like their safety.
They took
measure.
All the chairs out of the friggin' out of the bars.
So like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. You guys can't sit, but you can stand. So like, how's that matter for COVID?
But then if you had a beer, you could take your mask off or something.
Yeah, like they had to serve foods. Like they started serving those little bags of chips.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So like they'd give you a beer and a bag of chips because they had to serve food.
Yeah, so a bag of chips were like a dime.
Yeah,
just a $1.
They passed something here then that they could sell to-go drinks, and they would put a straw in them with tape over it,
Really?
As long as I had the tape over the straw, then it was the sealed to-go drink.
Mm-hmm.
Alcoholic, yeah.
Yeah.
It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was a wild time for sure.
It was good. They did that in San Diego too, allowed to go drinks. And that
Mhm.
was kind of cool because you could go to a bar, get a cocktail,
Like walk around.
and then just walk to a park, like a city park, and just drink it outside. And that was kind of cool.
I didn't realize this. Last time I was in San Diego, they did this during COVID, and they just kept it. They like blocked off. I think it's Fifth in downtown. They downtown San Diego, they blocked it off during COVID, and they just kept it blocked. So like, it's permanently now just pedestrian only.
That was cool.
That's pretty cool.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was cool. So that was kind of interesting.
You can still go to Mount Watkins and get those to-go smoothies. So I don't know how that loophole works.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty good.
Never had one.
Yeah.
I've had a sip, but I've never actually
Yeah, they're
had
good.
one. Yeah.
So do you use your marketing degree? What do you do now?
So now I'm in logistics. I help companies import and export.
Okay.
So I don't use it marketing directly, but how I started my career was in sales. And so I used marketing and sales in that aspect, and then kind of went up the ladder.
How did you get into logistics?
I accepted a job in the Bay Area working for a tech company. Like I accepted, everything was ready to go. So I was interviewing at the time, and I interviewed for the.
Where were you? Like you were in San Diego?
San Diego. I just come back from one of my trips, and so I was interviewing at a bunch of companies. Accepted a job in the Bay Area working for a tech firm doing sales. But then I had an interview scheduled in LA for a logistics company. And I was like, I'm not going to go. I already got this job, so I'm just going to cancel it. But then I thought, I wasn't working at the time. So I was like, all right, well, I don't have anything else going on, so let me just do it. And then I drove up to LA, interviewed, got the job offer.
Long Beach,
yeah.
UTI?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then ended up accepting that job and turning down the one in the Bay Area. So it was just by chance, just applied online and blinked, and here I am 12 years later or something.
Yeah.
Has it always been a remote job?
It's not remote.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Okay.
No. No, it's I live in Panama, but I work in an office with with people.
Yeah. I'll assume everyone's job is remote these days. So what's the logistics? What kind of?
You guys are kind of in the same business, bro.
No, I'm curious. Just what kind of stuff you're moving around or?
Yeah, so let's say like a company, whatever this is, H Tech, whatever, whoever makes this, buys this, let's say in China, and then they need to bring it to the U.S., and so they would hire a company like mine to, coordinate with the steamship line to move it by ocean, or coordinate with an airline to move it by air. So I just I'm kind of like a travel agent in that respect for companies to move their stuff.
Yeah, and I imagine there's a lot of complexity to getting stuff all over the country to where it needs to be on a timely manner.
Yeah, lots of regulations, customs,
taxes, fees.
Yeah,
permits.
All these little steps. So
it must have been a real curveball, I guess I'll say, for during COVID.
Yeah, especially. Yeah. Supply chain went crazy, and everything kind of pressed pause for a minute, and then there was kind of chaos.
Yeah.
But it's good times.
And then Brock was overcharging everybody for containers and shipping and shit like that.
Well, that's what happened, right?
Yeah, because the demand went crazy, and
people were, instead of spending their money on a vacation, were sitting at home all day and like, you know what, this chair is a little uncomfortable. Let's buy a new one. And that's when there's huge lines at IKEA and Home Depot, and because everyone's like, okay, let's spend our money on things. And so demand went through the roof. And then, that caused prices to go way up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. There's a huge demand that goes up, and there's a huge lack of employees
Mm-hmm.
and people working.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of went like this: supply went down, demand went up.
Yeah.
So
And then it was super important to get shit that you did have from point A to point B because it was the only thing in the market. Like I remember I bought the couch downstairs in my bedroom. I waited like 9 months for that couch, dude.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I was like, and so like Brock would have worked with the company who have like manufactured that couch and then shipped it from somewhere in China. And so I remember calling Ashley Home Furniture and I'm like, hey, where is this couch? And they're like, we don't know. I'm like, okay. I'm like 2 more months. Where's the couch? We don't know. You know, so like, well, I literally took like 9 months to get a fucking couch.
And we're also in the middle of the country.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get anything here.
Yeah.
And you know, you're in construction. You're trying to build
Mhm.
something on a schedule. You
Yeah.
need material. Yeah. It's probably a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Is it fun? Do you find it like fun navigating all the chaos and getting stuff where it needs to be?
it makes it exciting.
Yeah.
It's because if everything was so easy, you know, it'd be a little boring.
Mhm.
So when stuff like that goes, when there's like a headache or an issue somewhere, it kind of makes it exciting because you have to solve the problem and make things a little bit more difficult.
Do you guys use a lot of software to manage all this, or what's the?
Yeah, but not like AI or anything like that.
Mhm.
It's a pretty manual process because it involves you have to talk to a customs officer.
Yeah. Do you see it kind of trending that way to be stuff will be more automated in AI? Or?
Yeah, because there's a lot of kind of redundant stuff where you need to fill out forms. So instead of having a human being fill out forms all day, AI could be used to kind of do that automatically and do it more efficient. And
then just have a human check it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then when there will still be problems, you still need humans, but they could focus just on that stuff and not the kind of manual, boring stuff.
What would you say is some of like one thing comes to mind? I don't know if it was like the most challenging, but like what's the most challenging thing that you've had to ship and tell us about that like experience.
Well, the first one that jumped in my head is one that's current. Working for a very large tech company, and they sold something to Venezuela, and it's a really big piece that needs to move via air freight, but not a lot of planes can fit it, and not a lot of planes go to Venezuela. And now that Venezuela is kind of going crazy with protests, it just makes it super challenging. So we're kind of looking to, okay, so it can't go from here to here, but it can go from here to here, and then from there to here, and then here to there, because it has to
change planes.
Yeah.
And you have to be like, if it's the only plane that fits, is it flying there? Yeah.
And it's extremely expensive. So it's very difficult.
Yeah. Okay.
I sometimes think about when they were doing all the work in Big Sky last year to build that tram, and they've got to get everything up the mountain. And a lot of it, they have to use a helicopter. So it's just, they got to get it to the base. So there's all those logistics, and then getting it from the base up to the top of the mountain with a helicopter. And logistics can be very interesting if you dissect just what it takes to get one piece of something anywhere.
Yeah. I remember you telling me the shipping those like big wind turbines, like those big, what is that what they're called? Wind turbines?
For the windmill?
Yeah, the windmills, right? Those like huge ones, and like those fucking blades are like, I don't know, they're like 100 and something feet long, right?
Yeah. Then we ask like, hey, where do we deliver this to? And they say the ocean, right? Because they're going offshore. Like, there's no address, So
they give you like a GPS coordinate in the middle of the ocean.
It's all coordinated out, but it's.
But like I was thinking, it was over this highway, right? And like you're like trying to figure out if you can make the corner, to like, to actually physically get it there, even on land, is crazy difficult.
Yeah, you have to go out and scout it. And so you're looking at like the electricity wires, how tall are they, the bridges, the turns.
Mm-hmm.
And it's extremely expensive. So
Yeah.
if you make a mistake, it's a lot of money. And not just that, it's a lot of time too. It's not like they can just go, okay, well, here's another one. Like it has to months and months.
Yeah, like they can't
production.
just make a like one of those turbine blades pretty quick.
Yeah, it's not like Amazon, just
drop ship it.
Yeah, Prime.
Yeah, and the time lost. I mean, the money you put into constructing that wind turbine, and you're expecting a return. Just, I mean, I think you're a day or two behind. Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm sure you've noticed this, but it feels like maybe it was like this before COVID, but everything in Bozeman's still on that 3-month delay for everything.
Yeah.
If you call a shop here to get your car in, we're booked out for 3 months. I don't know if that's common all over the U.S. Definitely common here. Yeah,
I mean, we have Bozeman itself is a very challenging place, right? We're geographically very remote. We're like if you look at it on a map, Bozeman's like geographically one of the most remote places for a lot of things. So it makes it challenging.
Yeah.
And we got a growing city and a lot of demand. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's train, plane, or I-90. That's how everything gets here.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a while, no matter which.
Right.
So where did you move after Chico?
So I moved to Dallas. I was in Dallas for 9 months. And then I think after Dallas, I went to Southeast Asia for 9 months, something like that. And then back to San Diego for a couple years, 5 years or probably a little bit more. And then from San Diego to Panama, where I live now.
I think you might have that wrong.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You went to South America.
I moved to, South America.
Yeah, Southeast Asia was the next time.
The next one.
Yeah.
How was South America?
It's great. I mean, it's amazing. It's super big.
Where in South America?
So I started in Costa Rica, and then I ended in Argentina.
Okay.
But I spent most of my time in Colombia, and it's it's gorgeous. And there's everything. It's humongous, right? So whatever it is you like, there's 100 places that have that down there.
Where I grew up in upstate New York. There's guys that would always come up from Argentina, polo players.
Yeah.
So they would come up every summer. They were
they would play polo in Millbrook somewhere?
Yeah, there's different polo fields. One friend of mine, Leo, he's Argentinian guy. He's one of the greatest people I know. The way that guy can cook food. He'll cook everything over an open fire.
Yeah.
Just every time he has people over, I have no idea what half the food is that he's cooking, but it's so good. And they're just I don't know. They just those people have a good energy to them.
It's part of their culture.
They're just very hospitable and just very, very fun.
Yeah.
Leo has a few years come to Thanksgiving and Christmas with our family because we just knew he's kind of there by himself. So we invite him over, but really fun guy. Make empanadas and bring him over and all kinds of food. Shout out to Leo.
Yeah. You give him a glass of milk.
Yeah, he's great.
The steak in Argentina is another level. Yeah, that's just how they do it. Yeah, they just put it on a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like it's, use some contraption.
Yeah, everything was just open fire, some cement blocks with a grate, and he was just he knows what he's doing.
Nice.
There was something he'd cook that was something in the neck of the cow. I forget what it was called. It was really good. But I don't know. You don't ask, just eat it and it's good.
Polo is really big in Argentina.
I
don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Well, I guess horses are popular there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really a sport. I've never even heard of someone playing it in the U.S.
I mean, that's like in the U.S., I feel like you have to be wealthy to even kind of be in that world. Meaning first off, you have to own a horse, right? Or maybe you don't. Maybe that's a bad assumption. Maybe you don't have to own a horse. Yeah, I guess you'd rent one or something. But like, I don't know, just like a foreign idea to me. It'd be like, I'm gonna
jump up on this horse and swing a stick at a ball.
Yeah.
Our neighbors, I think as a kid, they bought the farm next door, and they're from Denmark. And then Leo worked for them for a long time. He was a groom there, and then he just had kind of been bouncing around that town. But yeah, there was a lot of polo players and just people with money and horses, and it's just another sport.
I bet it's fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a lot of fun. I mean, like, I don't know. Think like soccer on a horse.
Yeah, I think it could be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
Well, so you went to South America or Central and South America for a while. You went back again, right, for a shorter trip
to South America.
I thought.
Just like a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there, but nothing like.
So after you came back from that trip, then you worked for a while, and then you went to Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Same question I asked you. How's South America compared to the U.S.?
I mean, there's no laws. I mean, there's laws, but they don't follow them. So, and again, in a lot of respects, I guess there's like more freedom down there, just because you can kind of, just because the light's red doesn't mean you are going to stop. So it's kind of chaotic, which is exciting, but it's also more kind of free. If you want to drink a beer walking down the street, you can, or if you want to, do whatever you want on the highway, you can, which has its pros and cons.
I remember, like, I'm pretty big into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and the Gracies are the big name in Jiu-Jitsu, and I've heard some of them talk about when they came to the U.S. first, and they were in like San Diego, Los Angeles area, and yeah, they'd be like, in Brazil, if you were in line for something, you just go to the front of the line, and if somebody had a problem with that, you could fight them. And they're like, we had to learn that wasn't how things fly in the U.S. And like, when you get pulled over, like, you'll get pulled over for stuff in the U.S. and like, there's actually consequences. And that was kind of the gist I got, that you could just kind of, you could do what you wanted. And if you were, especially for them, if they were fighters, like, there wasn't much you could do about it.
I mean, it can be annoying because like what people will do is, if there's a 2-lane street, but your stop is right there, they'll stop and they'll, just hold up traffic. And that's super common. Where here it'd be like, oh no, I can't stop here because I would hold up traffic. I need to be considerate and blah, blah, blah.
And so they like pull around the corner and yeah.
But they're like, no, they stop wherever they want to stop and screw everybody else.
Yeah.
Which is kind of bad. But when you need to stop, that's what you do too. So, it is kind of, you don't have to drive around the block. You just, I'm going to stop right here.
It's also interesting and frustrating. Like you talk about getting in line, right? So like boarding an airplane, boarding a bus, the rules are real different. Like it's kind of like a free for all. It's like, hey, the bus is here, or people are getting on the airplane. Like it's kind of a shit show, and it's just like, everybody get on. That's interesting sometimes. So, I mean, that's probably, you use the word freedom, but like, I would imagine that's what attracted you to those places, was that, there is a freedom that just like doesn't exist because the rules, there's like commonalities and rules here in the U.S. that are customs rather that don't exist there.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy, a little bit chaotic, which makes things interesting. You kind of have to be on your toes a little bit, and I like that because it doesn't make you complacent. You kind of have to keep your head on a swivel, and everything is an adventure. Like going to the grocery store, it's like, oh shit, this is crazy.
Yeah.
I've had that same experience that I've talked about. That I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but there's something in me that's attracted to chaos. When there's a thunderstorm, I get excited. It's just a thrill
Yeah.
because you just don't know what's
Mhm.
going to happen, and it's I don't know, it's exciting.
Would you say you kind of got addicted to that? Like you got addicted to that, like that rush and that feeling, and kind of, I would say, like feeling alive.
Yeah, I think I got addicted to like the adventure of it. I mean, San Diego's a great and amazing place, but it was a little too comfortable.
Mhm.
And so I got, kind of get a little bored, a little itchy. So yeah, I think for the rest of my life, I'll always kind of want to throw myself in some new environment and see what happens.
Mhm.
That's one of my biggest fears is my life becoming very mundane.
Yeah, mundane.
It's
That's the
like
word.
if it's boring and I feel like I'm getting in this just rhythm of doing the same thing, I'm like, what is the point of this? I'm a robot now.
Yeah,
There's nothing. I'll try to shake it up the best I can. That was what attracted me to Montana, though, was the feeling of freedom. There's just you feel like so much more is within your control.
yeah,
And I think there's a rawness here that, and I've gotten used to it, but I think there's a rawness here that doesn't exist in bigger cities. There's in a city like, there's services and you can rely on things, and just the fact that there's a lot of people, that there's people around that could help you. In Montana, it's like, dude, if you get a flat tire on the wrong day in the winter without self service, like you could be fucked, And so you gotta be prepared for that, or figure out how to figure yourself out of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, there's kind of a rawness about Montana, just because of the landscape, I think.
Yeah, what does Wim Hof say? Mother Nature is a merciless bitch.
Yeah.
That's kind of like Montana.
Yeah.
You face that.
Yeah.
So how long were you in like Colombia or?
I was in Colombia for 6 months.
Okay.
I still go to Colombia pretty regularly
Mm-hmm.
for work. Colombia is my favorite country in the world. I mean, the people are so nice and it's gorgeous. There's so much to do. And there's very happy people. They're salsa dancing every
Mhm.
single day and night, just because always music going and always a party, just always happy, even though they're very poor. But
Mm-hmm.
And you're in Panama now, right?
yeah. Where Panama's, it's kind of a nice blend between the U.S. and let's say typical Latin America, because it's pretty modern. Like if you look at it, it's kind of looks like Miami. There's nice new buildings, so the infrastructure is good, but then you still have kind of the Latin chaos. So it's a kind of nice in between.
Yeah.
You have nice things, you have nice apartments, nice pools, nice roads,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't follow the rules on the road, so it makes it a little crazy.
Yeah.
Then in between.
Do you own a place there? Do you plan on staying there long term, or?
I don't own. I rent, but I have no plans of coming back.
Yeah.
I have no idea how long I'll be there.
Didn't you go on some like trip with Brock for a few weeks or something? I think you told me about this a few years ago.
Yeah. I mean, we've been on several trips. A
Yeah.
couple of years ago, I went down to Panama with him. I spent like 10 days there, and I think he was with me for 7 of them or something.
I don't know if it was something out of the ordinary or you were just going to Panama. But I felt like
No, I went to Panama to hang out with him, and I mean, I had been to Panama before a couple of times. It's an awesome place, so like I love going back. Yeah, I mean, we've been on several adventures together. Several Mexico trips, Cuba, Panama. Anywhere else?
Hawaii.
Yeah, Hawaii.
Bunch
Hawaii
of
was
Mexico.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he kind of like got me into, I would say the South and Central America stuff, because his trip to Central and South America was like a year and a half before mine, and I basically told him how much money I had and how much time I had, and he's like, do this, go here, do that, don't do this, don't stay here too long, and I almost followed that advice probably to a T. And it was an awesome trip.
So you got a system figured out for how to.
Yeah.
You did then.
Yeah. And like what you said, don't stay here too long. It's because that can happen pretty easily.
Mhm.
Where you're, kind of wake up and realize you've been in the same town for 7 days, and you're like, oh shit, I need to keep moving.
Yeah, because you're doing the same thing you were doing yesterday and the day before and the day before, and it was awesome. And so you can get stuck. And so, yeah, there's like a thrill to these places, and it's definitely, you can get addicted to going to a new place and that thrill of being somewhere new, meeting new people, and it's just a constant adventure. Your body's kind of on a high and your brain's on a high. You'll be there for like 3 days, 5 days, maybe a week, and then you're like, okay, cool, next place. And you'll meet somebody at a hostel, and they'll show you pictures of this place that you were maybe didn't even know about, but it's like a few hours away or whatever, or maybe it's 8 hours away. And you'll look at these photos and you're like, fuck, I gotta go there. That's fucking sick. Okay, let's go. And then a couple of days later, you go there. So it's kind of you get on a cycle, or in like some kind of a cycle like that.
Yeah, I mean, I know that feeling. I could see it being very addicting. Just
Mhm.
moving or new start or like new opportunity.
Yeah, and like nobody knows who you are, and you just like go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Hostels are good places to meet really good people, and it's always interesting.
Never stayed in a hostel.
We're gonna get you down to Panama.
Yeah,
get you down to Panama. We got a hostel down there on an island that's fucking a good one.
Hostels are a good time. Just because it's all people who are in the same position as you.
Mm-hmm.
They're staying at a place they've never been, and
they don't know anybody.
So people are very friendly. Super easy to show up to a hostel in the afternoon, and within a couple of hours you're having dinner with 8 people.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're a little bit younger.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
what's the age?
There's a time and a place. There's a time and a place for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think as we've gotten older, we've changed hostels. Let's put it that way. Like we're in a different.
There's to 5-star hostels.
There's hostels. There's hostels for older people that are traveling, that maybe they're with one person or they're single or whatever. But the days of sleeping in a bunk bed on the third bunk up top with 12 other people or 16 other people in a room, that's over. I'm not doing that anymore. That was fun. I did that. I also can't stay up until 3 a.m. So that's not happening, or extremely rare. I mean, the last time when I was in Panama, like I tried to stay up like 2 nights. I was just like, it was tough. It's tough. So yeah, there's a time and a place.
So now the move is you still stay at a hostel so you can meet people and not kind of be by yourself, but you get a private room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so you get like
there's common areas and a private.
Yeah, there's like a community area where you like breakfast, lunch, dinner, hang out, listen to music, whatever.
You ever been to the one here in Bozeman?
I have.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I stayed at it the very first time I came to Bozeman. I stayed like 3 nights there.
What did you think?
I mean, it was cool, right? Yeah. And it's like right downtown, and so like, it served its purpose. I met some nice people that were there traveling through, and it was great for me because it's right downtown. So like, you just leave your shit in your room. I had a private room.
Oh, they do have private rooms there?
They have a couple private rooms, yeah. So you just leave your shit in your room, and I would go wander around downtown and
Yeah.
go on some little day adventures, and then come back and shower and crash. So, yeah, it was cool.
Mainly Europeans staying there or other Americans?
No, it was mostly Americans when I was there. And it was super cheap. I don't know what the prices are now. It's not the greatest hostel in the world for sure, but it served its purpose. Yeah.
Brock, I don't know if Kyle's was talking about you, but how does the food compare to the U.S. and any of these places you've lived?
Like Southeast Asia, like the best pad thai you could find in the US is you can get it on the street just as good in that part of the world or better, but for like $1. Super, super cheap. The food in Latin America, what I say is like Mexico has great food. Excuse me, then Argentina has good food, but everything in between is not that good. It's just a lot of the same stuff. So you have like a protein, you have a steak or fish, whatever, chicken, rice, beans, and plantains, and you eat that for lunch and dinner.
Was it Brock you were talking about that you were saying somebody moved, I think, from to the US from?
Yeah, it's a buddy from mine from work.
Oh, okay.
From Brazil.
Essentially, like gained a bunch of weight when he moved to the US.
Yeah, he moved from Brazil and yeah, his his take is, for wherever he lived in Brazil, or wherever he got his food rather in Brazil, like he felt like it was a lot healthier in Brazil.
Yeah,
because the hormones that they're pumping in, or I don't know, I'm gonna call them steroids that they're putting in the food, or whatever they do, which I've noticed that too. Like when you go to Central or South America, like a chicken's a lot smaller down there. So it's actually like the size of a
what would
real
Frank
chicken.
keep saying about the chickens?
The whole thing, I forgot about that. They're gay chickens or something like that.
Yeah.
Right?
He was something like that. He's like, he said his
Oh yeah.
like,
Oh
you can't
yeah.
eat the chickens because they'll make
Yeah,
you
yeah.
gay. Or
Yeah. So
something.
he's saying Frank's dad would say you can't eat chickens, you'll turn gay. You have to eat the male ones.
The roosters.
Yeah, but they're called something that he was using the name that I don't know that name, but he's like, yeah, you got to eat those ones. Anyway, so Frank only buys male chicken meat now, I guess, or something like that. I don't know.
Can you even do that? Like,
I don't know.
I've never seen like female chicken, male chicken.
I don't know, bro. You got to talk to Frank.
Yeah, it was just like all I know is hens and roosters. I don't know what he was. It was funny, whatever he was saying, but yeah.
I mean, do you notice that? Like the food, like let's just say, well, let's use chicken, right, or meat. Like, it's different in the sense of you think it's probably farmed differently?
Yeah, I mean there is that. Like the eggs are smaller, the chicken is smaller, and then everything is kind of free range because they're just poor.
Yeah.
But a lot of the rest of the world is catching up to the U.S. Or the U.S. is kind of infiltrating into these countries because you see a lot of people are getting fat now in Latin America because Burger King is there now, and McDonald's, and burgers and fries are now super popular. So that kind of lifestyle is making its way in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're addicted to the same shit we are.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where else you should take Brock. That's a real good Montana staples here. You should probably take him to the Western Cafe for breakfast.
We eaten there last time.
At the Western Cafe? Yeah. Okay, cool.
You probably take him to Stacy's for dinner.
Yeah, we might stop at Stacy's just afterwards for a beer.
Yeah.
After the float today.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I want to take him over there just to stop.
Is that the place you're the super old bar?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's go there.
Cool, very, very Western. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to get a huckleberry shake.
We can do that. We'll go to Mark's In and Out when we go floating in the Yellowstone. There's a place called Mark's In and Out. It's an old 50s like drive up, not drive through, drive up burger joint. I mean, literally, I think the place is like the size of this room. And they have like a couple windows and they just serve. They're all cooking in there and they serve right out of that
Yeah,
window.
it's smash
cool.
burgers,
Yeah,
and they're literally like $4 or $5 for double smash. Like,
Really?
Yeah, it's cool. It's like back in time. All their equipment is like from the 50s. They make you like a huckleberry shake or like a chocolate malt shake.
There's
fucking good.
You better check they're still open. Like they close kind of early.
Yeah, you're right.
For the year, they're only open for like 3 months in the summer.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Some people know where they go all the rest of the year, but they're just open for the summer here.
It's still super nice weather out. You think they would?
Yeah, it's usually like by then.
But they do close early.
Yeah, like by the end of August or something.
Yeah,
it's worth checking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Like the bank bar is cool if you're that way, but you were kind of that way yesterday if you did Fairy Lake.
Yeah, we didn't go all the way over there.
Yeah.
What's that bank bar? This is a cool bar.
Yeah, it's Wilsaw, right?
Yep.
Yeah, how far would have that have been? That would make another 20 miles or something.
Yeah, I mean it's when you go off Bridger Drive to go up Fairy Lake, it's 20 minutes up that dirt road. So that's from where you hit Bridger Drive, probably only 15, 20 minutes from there. I think it's 45 minutes from here.
Okay.
To get to the bank bar.
Okay.
But if you're coming from Lava Lake, it's like 45 minutes from there because
not Lava Lake, Fairy Lake.
Fairy Lake. I've timed that just from Fairy Lake. That dirt road takes 20 to 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So that's a long dirt road. It's usually pretty slow going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Those are like good. If you want good Montana food.
Yeah.
I still want your opinion on the tacos here, though. You could take
I mean, he's going to tell you that they're like a 7.5 out of 10.
Was it carne asada or
just what like? Doesn't really matter what it is. Whether it's like probably like a 7. It's Los Pinos is the best Mexican food I've had in Montana, and it's like an 8.
That's Livingston.
Yeah, the one in Livingston. Yeah. I would say it's like an 8, 8.5. It's good.
I'm surprised you even gave anything 7.5 in Montana.
No, so like there's a couple places. So my 2 go-tos for Montana Mexican food are Mr. Burrito and Los Pinos. Okay. Los Pinos number 1, Mr. Burrito number 2.
Noted.
Yeah. Anyway, we got off on a tangent. We're talking about South America and food, and then we got into food. I mean, what are like? Describe what it's like to live in Panama City.
It's very nice. You never have to guess like what to wear. Like here, I'm, like, oh, should I wear this jacket or this sweater or this T-shirt? Just depending on the weather. There, you never have to guess. It's shorts and a shirt. The weather is the same. The temperature is the same the entire year. There's only 2 seasons, but the temperature is the same for both. It's either wet or dry. So it's wet season or dry season. And wet season means rain. Dry season means no rain. So that's kind of cool. I think some people wouldn't like it if you're in the seasons. But it's very an active city. There's lots of like running and biking. It's very kind of a lot of fit people there. Right on the water. It's fairly cheap, especially coming from San Diego. You can get an apartment there, that ocean view apartment, $1 million view for cheap. It's big, but not crazy big. Or at least it doesn't feel crazy big.
Do you know how many people live there?
2 million
in
Panama City.
Okay.
So the whole country is 4 million, and then 2 million live in Panama City. So half the population lives in the capital. So you have all the food you could want. They have sushi, burgers, barbecue, pizza, whatever. So you're not kind of missing any type of food from back home. And yeah, it's good. I mean, it's historical because it was founded back in the 1700s, or even actually even before that, with pirates. It was a big like pirate scene. Captain Morgan was there, or Captain Henry. And it's the city in the jungle. You can be in super dense jungle within 10 minutes, and like machete, monkeys, snakes, alligators, all that. So nature is very close. Like you'll hear stories about people having a alligator in their front yard type thing. Yeah, to just see monkeys and sloths super close to the city. And then what's cool is you can either go to the beaches on the Pacific or the beaches in the Caribbean, and both are about an hour and a half away. So you just kind of pick. This weekend we kind of want Caribbean water. Or this weekend we want Pacific waves. There's mountains, islands. You take boats anywhere and go all these islands. So there's a lot of diversity. Really good for hiking, swimming, scuba diving. It's a good place.
Sounds fucking awesome. Just the way you described it. Like, what can you not do there?
Be cold.
That's right. There you go. I guess you can't be cold.
Which I mean, that does you do kind of, especially 2:00 in the afternoon, sweating. You kind of fantasize.
I wish I was cold.
Yeah, fantasize about winter somewhere. But for them, I prefer the heat. I'd rather be too hot than too cold.
So from like January to what, like, to like June is like the wet season, something like that.
Opposite. So it's like,
the dry season.
Yeah, like December to May is dry season, and then May through November is wet season, rainy season. It's actually a little bit more humid in rainy season because like the rain will hit, but then it evaporates. It's like causes more humidity. So it feels a little bit warmer in rainy season. But the nice thing about the tropics is if it's raining here, you probably don't want to be outside. You'll get cold or sick. There, if you get caught in a rainstorm, you're outside, you're wearing board shorts probably and a shirt, and you get wet, but it only rains for like 20 minutes. And then within 20 minutes after it stops raining, you're dry. It's no big deal. Like, you don't really need an umbrella unless you're, have some electronics with you, because you could just be out in the rain and it feels like you're in a pool. I mean,
yes, the rain can be cold here sometimes. And then the time of year, like spring, early spring rain or fall rain, it's just cold. It's not warm rain.
What's your day-to-day like for work? So like you go to work Monday through Friday. Like walk me through what a day looks like at work.
It's talking to customers, it's talking to colleagues, it's talking to customers in Panama, customers in the US, or colleagues in Denmark, or wherever, and just working on different projects. It's a lot of problem solving. It's a lot of, hey, this has gone bad. How can we fix it? And then you kind of have to quickly, okay, this is option 1, this is option 2, this is option 3. Okay, option 1, the pros are this, the cons are this. Same with, you do that with all the different options, then you kind of pick the best one. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of, or problems with employees, or working on this, working on that. Sometimes we'll drive. We have different offices, so drive to the different offices, go to warehouses.
What are you guys storing in your warehouse?
Everything. I mean, Yeah, everything. Because we work with so many different clients. So we have, medicine to help with cancer in this in this warehouse or this area, and we have TVs in this area, and kind of anything and everything in between.
And that's all like relatively temporary storage. It's gonna stay there for a little bit, then go.
Yeah, I mean that's like the kind of big appeal of Panama is because we have the canal. So what companies will do is they'll put their distribution hubs in Panama, and then when a customer wants it in Brazil, okay, we send it this way. Customer wants it in Peru, we send it this way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a staging ground for all of Latin America.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How big is your company? Do you know how many they employ?
70,000.
Wow. So there's all over the world.
All over the world.
Yep.
80 countries.
How much of your day is in Spanish and how much of it is in English?
It differs from day to day. Sometimes it could be 80% Spanish, 20% English. Some days 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I'm speaking Spanish all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And you've essentially been fluent in Spanish since high school, or?
No. When I moved to Spain, I knew taco, burrito, cerveza, and that was about it.
Okay.
So yeah, my first couple of months in Spain, I was lost. But then, yeah, I picked it up in Spain. But that was at age 21, 22.
Is there any unknown advantages to knowing another language other than the obvious, just being able to communicate better?
I mean, what's fun is if you're in a place and there's another person that speaks your speaks your language, but no one else does, you can have a conversation in front of people with, that you don't want the other people to know. So that's kind of fun and useful. And also the reverse of that, if someone's talking about you in a language that you understand, you go, "Hey, motherfucker, I heard that."
I always wondered if it changed your perspective knowing all these words and meanings in a different language.
I think it's probably good for the brain.
Yeah.
I think it's smart if you have kids to teach them another language when they're young.
Yeah, because they can pick it up like nothing.
Yeah, I imagine that's pretty healthy for the brain too.
Yeah, I just wondered if you had a really, say, negative connotation towards a word, but then you learn it in another language. I actually don't feel so bad about that word.
Yeah.
Or just a negative association with a word, but if you know it in another language, maybe.
There's some interesting thing. There's interesting words that when you think about their meaning, and then you think about, oh wait, that actually makes a whole lot of sense. Like the word preoccupied, right? Like preoccupado, right? So if I were to say like, I'm preoccupied with this thought right now, it might be like, I'm worried about this or I'm concerned about it. I'm like, preoccupied. That's interesting. But that actually makes sense. You are you're occupied with this thought. So anyway, that's like one that comes to mind. Just like words like that. When you hear them in another language and they seem in some ways more literal. And then you kind of unravel that. You're like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Are you dreaming in Spanish?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fucking
That's
cool,
an interesting
dude.
question. Yeah.
Yeah. So when people learn another language, they start to dream in it.
Huh.
Your dreams are like, what the fuck? I'm speaking Spanish in my fucking dreams.
That's funny.
And it's if I'm going, how you when you're kind of thinking, okay, I have this meeting or I have to talk to this person, and you're kind of thinking beforehand, okay, this is what I need to say, this is what I need to talk about. When I know I need to talk to somebody in Spanish and I start doing that, I do it in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And same in dreams. If I'm in a Spanish speaking scenario, it's Spanish.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's cool.
I think it's so funny when people get mad that speak another language and they just start going off in their other language.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I worked with this woman, Daria. She was Turkish, and she would just like she'd be getting mad, and we're on the construction team, and then she'd be like, "You motherfucker," and then she'd just go, and I'd have no idea what she was saying, and she'd vent in her.
Oh, she'd say it out loud
in her native language.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was very funny. So I don't know if she was doing it intentionally because she knew no one would really know what she was saying, but they knew what she was doing, or if she just instinct took over.
I'd probably say the second one. That would be my guess. Because you curse in your native language. If you hit your foot on something, you're gonna instinctively curse in your.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty funny.
That's funny.
Yeah. So what are you doing now, man? Just living in Panama? You got any big thoughts for the future? Moving anywhere? Doing anything else?
No, I just, right now I want to focus on traveling in the Caribbean just because I'm so close. So I want to take advantage of my time there. So all the Caribbean islands are just a couple hour flight from Panama.
Mm-hmm.
So this year I went to Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Curacao. I'll go back to Dominican Republic a couple times. And then I want to go to Jamaica. Excuse me. Yeah, just travel.
Yeah. Sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
Should probably get out of Montana more.
Yeah. It's always good to get away. What else, man?
What else?
That's about it.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Got anything else, Kyle? Any more questions?
I mean, not in particular, man. I know Brock well. Yeah.
Do you have any ads you guys need to read?
No.
Brought to you by Chico State University.
The Harvard of the West.
Harvard of the West, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else? We got to figure out our next adventure, man. We got to plan something. I guess that comes to mind for me is we've always done fun adventures since you've been living in Panama and I've been here. We've been a little disconnected, so we can fix that.
I would say Rio. That could be an option.
Oh man, you're trying to kill me, dude.
Rio de Janeiro.
He wants to do Carnival.
Say more. I don't know anything about it.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm gonna butcher trying to explain Carnival. I've never been to it, so
it's biggest party in the world.
Yeah.
So let's let Brock explain it. Sounds like he knows about it.
Go ahead.
So the super famous one, it's in all Catholic countries, but the super famous one is in Brazil, in Rio. It's just a massive party for weeks. And people get dressed up, dancing, samba music. And it's just a huge, huge party. Day and night.
Got it in you, Kyle?
I'm gonna have to get in shape for it.
I think it would be you'd have to do it as a mission, Be like, okay, we fly in for 3 days or something and get the hell out.
Yeah, and we have to plan it out. Yeah, that'd be cool. 3 days, 4 days. I could go hard for 3 or 4 days. And then that's it. I'm done after that. I'm not 25 anymore.
Sleep in a hammock on the beach for a couple days and just recover.
Good. That sounds real good. Yeah. So next February.
That'd be cool. Or go to Sicily. That'd be another good option.
Maybe we could do both.
No.
Go February Carnival and July Sicily. Frank has got a spot in Sicily.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
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 And you don't have to worry about the chicken.
Dude, you should go with us. You'd love Rio for several reasons, bud. But you can go do some jiu-jitsu, I guess, but probably not party too hard if you're going to be doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I don't know what to see. I mean, I guess I do know some guys who've gone down there to train a little bit. I'd have to find out. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Let me know, man.
Blow your mind.
Keep me in the loop.
I think Brazil would blow Rio would blow my mind. Seems like a cool place.
Yeah,
it seems like a cool place.
Surrounded by beach.
Yeah,
Looks really beautiful.
yeah.
It's dangerous, but you just have to, only take out with you what you're willing to get stolen.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And then if they steal it, no big deal.
Yeah.
Or just do some jujitsu on them.
Yeah. You never know, though.
They probably
That's
might know
their
something.
culture.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Might not be a good idea.
yeah. Just let them have the $20.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thanks.
Yeah. Want to wrap it up?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, man. Good to meet you.
Yeah, nice meeting you too. Bye, listener.
Son of a bitch.